Coming up this morning on the Dattitude podcast, I am not sure what was more unlikely. The fact that the Kansas City, good Lord, see, I'm fumbling. Now you'll really understand what this means. I'm not sure what was more unlikely, that the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles would rout the Kansas City Chiefs, or the fact that I actually got out of bed in time to put together a show, or that I fumbled. Oh, I did fumble. So are you asking if that's a warning this show's going to suck? Come on, man. Have we ever steered you wrong? Don't answer that. Looks like Kellen Moore is just a couple days away from becoming the 19th coach in New Orleans Saints history. We have some scenes to show you from the Dome, which also was known as Disney World for one 56-year-old sports writer making his first trip to the Super Bowl. Who knows? We may even argue about rappers. Now, I'm not talking about WRAPPERS, not what goes around a Snickers bar. I'm talking about rappers, like the crap that I saw last night at halftime of Super Bowl 59. We may talk about it. Someone's fired up in the green room. We'll see. Whatever it is, it's all coming up next on the Dattitude podcast.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.
Where you at, Dattitude family? It is a Monday. Of all the days to go back to mornings, this one, man, it's rough getting up this morning. It is also a bittersweet edition of the show. A little sad that the 2024 football season is officially over. However, New Orleans put on one hell of a show. I mean, they put on a hell of a show. I am so proud of my city for what we were able to accomplish over this past week. So that's going to be half the show. We're going to be talking about the fact that we are that much closer to the Saints naming a head coach, a new head coach anyway, we hope. That also means this must be Dattitude. Episode number 344, presented by Evangeline Securities for a Monday, February the 10th, 2024. I am your old, tired, and whatever host, Jim Derry. I'm done, Hoss. Just done. To think that, last week at this time, it was all starting. And, when they say time fly, it does. I mean, I wouldn't trade last week for the world. But if God came down and the angels came down from the heaven and said, Jim Derry, you can do it all over again. And it'll be all new. No one will know but you. It's all new. You do the same thing. Go to Radio Row. I'd say no, man. I'm tired. It was one fantastic experience. I'm going to show you a little bit of it. I had plans I took so many pictures and video last night. I really wanted to do more of my own. But in fact, I wanted to redo the backdrop just for today. Just didn't have time. I brought the kids to the bus stop this morning, and I went back and laid down. The next thing you know, oh, man, it's 9 o'clock. I got a show to put together. Doesn't mean look, I wrote a lot of this last night, but still, I mean, I wanted to do so much more. Who knows? Maybe Wednesday we'll show you some more sites. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. In case you don't know, if you're new to the show and I'm rambling on, I am Jim Derry, 34 and a half years on this New Orleans sports media scene. First time in the Superdome for a Super Bowl for me last night. First time in the Super Bowl, period. So I want to thank all of you for coming on and listening to me talk about it this morning. We will talk about Super Bowl 59. We'll talk about when will the Saints name. It's not if now, I don't think. I think it's when will the Saints name Kellen Moore coach. That'll be first half of the show is going to be Super Bowl. Second half is going to be Saints. Last night was cool in lots of ways, but one of them was sitting on my right was Jeff Duncan, and 2 spots over to my left was Clyde Verdane. So it was kind of like, how many of you watched the old Duncan Holder show that I was a big part of for a couple years? Whenever they needed a guest host, I was the guest host. I was the guest on the show quite a bit. It was And I did run into Larry yesterday, as a matter of fact, as well, before the game. He was walking around. So it was a crazy, crazy night. It was cool to be around all sorts of different people and seeing how people work. And everything was different as far as routine and how we get up there. And excuse me, because I got a cord that's wrapped around my seat here and it's driving me nuts. Live TV, folks. There we go. That's how you do it. Yeah, but seeing all the different people and how they work and climbing up, we could not take an elevator. They closed off the elevators to the press. Okay, so I had to walk. You know where press row is, and if you're looking at the screen, okay, you see where the top of the terrace is. You actually can't see the top of the terrace, but that's where the press box is. It's like above where my head is on the screen. So imagine my fat ass walking all the way up there. Now, we did get to take escalators up to like the 600 level, but then you were basically climbing up and walking up that man, it was interesting. But I thought it was kind of cool at the same time. Now, we walked up there, we walked back down because Zach and company wanted to go walk into the gift shop. Zach, Rod, Walker, and I went into the gift shop before the game. I cannot find, it's crazy. And if anyone's seen this, please let me know. Send me a link or something to it. I am looking for a Super Bowl 59 backpack. I need a new backpack. And this is not a complaint at all whatsoever. So when I say this, don't take this the wrong way. But usually, it used to be always, until recently, the last, 4 or 5 years, you would always get, the media would get like swag, okay? You would get like little stuff. I mean, the best thing I ever got was probably, I got a blanket from the Super Bowl that I used for Super Bowl, from the Sugar Bowl from like 20 something years ago. I used it forever. It just fell apart a couple years ago and I had to stop using it. But like things like that, I got the backpack that I use now is from the Sugar Bowl from like, 12, maybe 11, 12 years ago. And it's starting it's on its last leg, I guess. So if you have seen it or know someone or have seen a link that to get to Super Bowl 59 and the backpack, yeah, let me know about it. Let me know. I see. I shouldn't have wore it. I thought this green shirt was going to be okay today, but it's kind of fading out. I guess I don't have enough light on me. If I look like I'm disappearing, it's because I'm wore a green shirt. See, I'm not supposed to wear a green shirt against a green screen, but maybe I'll disappear. Gabe won't be able to yell at me later. All right. Let's get on with the show. The season started in the Superdome with Dennis Allen defeating the Carolina Panthers in grand style. It ended with the next coach of the New Orleans Saints winning the Super Bowl as an offensive coordinator. I found that interesting. Saw a note on X this morning from someone named Darth Saint, who, he only has, I'm assuming it's a he. He's only got like 1,400 followers, but he put out a tweet that's got over 50,000 views at the moment. And it was very interesting. I did not retweet it. I may later on. It says Kellen Moore won more games this year in the Superdome than Dennis Allen. Isn't that interesting? Kellen Moore won 2 games in the Superdome. Dennis Allen won 1. And he didn't type this in, but let that sink in for a minute. He also won the same amount of games as Darren Rizzi. The only difference is that obviously he was not the coach of the New Orleans Saints. So kind of cool thing. We'll be talking about the Saints later on this morning here. When will they name the Saints coach? I think it's going to be the end of the week. I did not realize yesterday, Zach told me that Kellen Moore was actually going back to Philly with the Eagles. I thought he was just going to stay here in New Orleans. So I guess he's going to go back, celebrate a little bit. They'll iron out the kinks, and maybe Kellen Moore will have a job by, I'm guessing Wednesday or Thursday. Maybe even Friday. We'll see. So we're going to get to some comments here. I see got a lot in the queue already. If you want to be a part of the show, you can type in your comment on YouTube or Facebook. You can talk about whatever you want this morning, as long as it's related to either the Super Bowl, something involving the Super Bowl, or something involving the Saints. That's what we're talking about this morning. If you want to comment, you can. YouTube, Facebook. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the Dattitude YouTube page. You'll know when we're going on the air live, which is every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time. You can get in touch with me on X at Jim Derry Jr. via email. Again, send me the link if you find a backpack for Super Bowl 59. I don't care. Not Super Bowl 57 or 52. I found this one. I don't want any Eagles or Chiefs logos. I just want a Super Bowl 59 backpack. If you see one, you can also email me at jderry@theadvocate.com. We're going to talk about all sorts of things this morning. UBN, down goes Frazier. God, the GOAT. To laugh is kind of stupid. You're going to ha, 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 what? I love you, UBN, but why would we laugh? It's no taking away. Look, I picked the Eagles to win last night. We'll get into my bets in a minute because if I would have put it this way, how good of a night did I have? I don't really bet a whole lot of single game parlays. In fact, hardly ever. But had I done all my bets in a single game parlay last night, I'd have a lot of money this morning. I hit everything. Everything. The only thing I didn't hit, which I didn't even bet, I forgot to bet. I literally forgot to bet Patrick Mahomes under 0.5 interceptions. I made, I think, 10 bets last night, and I forgot to bet that. And the game had started. I told Zach, I'm like, damn it, I forgot to bet that. It's too late now. So, but anyway, again, I'm not taking anything away from what the Eagles Chiefs have done. From what the Chiefs have done. How can you? As we get into that this morning, the Eagles just won the game. Again, you're talking about a team, so they didn't three-peat. Doesn't take anything away from what they did. Not anything at all, in my opinion. Charles Mangus, good morning. One of the best Super Bowls I saw, not counting number one, the Saints Super Bowl. I bet against God and won. Look, was it a great game? No. It's a Super Bowl. It's always fun to watch. But I didn't even care. Being there, I didn't care. I didn't care that it was a terrible game. It didn't make a difference at all. But again, you can't take anything away from the Chiefs. Apathy. God was seeing ghosts and got rattled by a second series of the game. Nobody saw that one coming. No, but I was texting Gabe last night a little bit at one point. I think it was when the Eagles were up, I don't know, a couple touchdowns. I bet minus 10.5. Again, I doubled up on the Eagles. I'm like, I could see from the, nobody saw it coming. No, but you could see it coming pretty quickly. Like I wanted to bet on it. Like I said, don't overreact. Don't bet too quickly. But by the second or third series, Apathy, you're right. Man, that Philly front line was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. Rocky, good morning. Good morning. Like UBN said, he saw the Philly win coming. Nobody predicted a straight up butt kicking. Now, how could you? How could you? I didn't get a chance to see the commercials, Charles. I'll probably go back and watch it at some point in the near future. A-Town, good morning. A lot of God getting humbled. God definitely got humbled. There's no doubt about that. Mark Gapsky. We're going to get into this one later on. Gabe's not happy with me this morning. I'll just go ahead. Yeah, I could say it. I try to limit myself to one or two of these words per show. May come up again. Mark says the halftime show was dog shit. I thought it was the worst. I thought it was the worst. I'm not going to dance around. I thought it was the worst halftime show at the Super Bowl I've ever seen. I didn't understand it. It didn't make any sense. I thought the female singer, and it says I didn't know anything about her until my 13-year-old daughter loves her and told me about her. And I thought she was good. So I thought that part of it was good, but I didn't understand what they were trying to do. Not that I always understand what they're trying. We're going to get, again, Gabe thought it was phenomenal. I don't want to spend our whole segment, by the way, Gabe, talking about the halftime show. I'm just going to say, I don't know hardly anyone who thought it was good. I just don't. Now, granted, I'm going to throw this caveat out there. I am old. I am white. My favorite rappers are probably the same age as me. Have at it. I'm going to say that. That being said, though, I have seen other shows with newer rappers that I did like. And, I don't know. They're just, to me, why wasn't Lil Wayne in there? That would have been, to me, it's New Orleans, man. It's New Orleans. We'll get into it more later. I'm trying to not look like myself. It's like, I'm trying not to look like the get off my lawn, dude. I don't want to be the get off. I really don't want to. I don't want to be the old man. I don't. And I'm talking about not even today. I'm talking about 20 years from now. Will we still be doing this shit 20 years from now? Probably not. Yeah, I don't want to see a 76-year-old geezer up here complaining about,
I remember when they used to run the football on 3rd and 1.
I don't want to be doing that kind of crap. I don't want to be the get off my lawn dude, but man, at least make it so people can understand what the hell y'all are trying to do. Dylan Smith, Eagles, baby. Yes, indeed. There's a lot of fly Eagles fly last night. I have some B-roll for you to show you. Owen Attilio, good morning. Congratulations, Eagles. Very proud of the show New Orleans put on. Look, man, I'll tell you. Again, I'm biased, but there's nobody that does a better job at this than us. Nobody. Nobody does a better job than us. UBN says he knew it wasn't going to get up. I did get up. I did do the prep this morning. I got up. I just didn't get up when I wanted to. Good morning, John Pace. Let's see what else we got. Owen says he would feel better if we got an official announcement about Kellen. You're worried. There's no reason to be worried. 0.0 reason to be worried. I'm the one that's going to have to eat paper on a live show if he doesn't take the job. And I'm not even a little bit worried. Eric Kurtz wants to know, the Saints don't hire Kellen Moore today. Do I think the chances of the deal doesn't get done? Y'all are worrying for nothing. I don't think it's going to get announced today. And I don't think anyone has anything to worry about. So, no. All right, we got plenty more comments and more things to talk about. Again, comment about whatever you want as long as it has to do with Super Bowl 59 or the Saints. Anything else, I'm probably not going to show it. Who knows? Sometimes I'll show it on accident. Before we get to the rest of the show, let me tell you more about our friends at Evangeline Securities. And some people, the people over there who are the happiest people on the planet, that this whole spectacle is over and they can get back to their offices on Poydras Street without a 20-car escort from the NOPD. That's Evangeline Securities. They are a company that can help you decide if it's the right time to sell your family-run or privately held business. And just as importantly, they can figure out what that business is worth. If that is you or someone you know, it's time to reach out to Evangeline's founding and managing partners, Nick Braden and Ron Hemel. They will start by scheduling a complimentary from their offices either on Poydras Street or in Lafayette. From there, you become well-informed on whether it's time to proceed or not. What happens after that? We'll fill you in more later in the show, but in the meantime, you can check them out at www.evangelinesecurities.com. All right, back to the comments here this morning. Apathy. I have an odd question. What happens to the suites when a venue hosts the Super Bowl? Do people that use them in the regular season in the Dome have dibs, or is it the highest bidder for a Super Bowl? The way that I understand it is the people who own those suites have the opportunity to buy them for the Super Bowl, I believe, but it's not the same amount of money. So it's an exorbitant amount of money. That's the way I understand it. I can ask that question of Nick Braden and get back to you because Nick Braden has a suite for the Saints. So I will ask him that question, Apathy, and I will get back to you and see what he says. I'm not showing. So if y'all talking about Taylor Swift, I'm probably not going to show that either, by the way. I mean, I don't care. Okay? Who cares? I mean, and why would people... Here's my thing. You ha. Tell it. Who cares? Y'all are getting goofy. Dylan Smith, you're 100% right. Jameis Winston is the man. Loved his interviews. He's hilarious. At one point, a good friend of mine, Mike Prange, was texting me saying, man, this game is so bad, they should just run interviews with Jameis Winston. You know, Jameis Winston would probably be a good color analyst. One thing, I did come home and I watched maybe 20 minutes of it. And the 20-minute part I watched is because my wife had paused the game, I guess, and fell asleep. And it was somewhere, I think it was early fourth quarter or whatever. And I was kind of listening to Brady in the background. He's just not good at it. I know he's probably gotten better since the beginning of the show. Gabe says, but do you want it? I mean, I don't know. And maybe because some of the guys, like the people who are in the lead groups, all right, you think about who are color analysts for the number one groups, okay? Greg Olson was for Fox. I thought Greg Olson was outstanding and is outstanding. He's one of the best. You might not like Tony Romo, but he's an outstanding color analyst, okay? And speaking of guys you don't like, I know most of you probably don't like Chris Collinsworth. Chris Collinsworth, you might not like the sound of his voice, but Chris Collinsworth is a phenomenal color analyst. And so is Troy Aikman. So maybe I just haven't given him time. But Olsen didn't have to grow into it. Tony Romo didn't have to grow into it. Gabe says he doesn't have the voice for it. I think you're right. I think that's part of it. I think maybe he's just kind of, I don't know, almost whiny. I don't know what it is. Michelle Castro Arreglado Neesmith. Let's go. Mono-y Monday. It is Mono-y Monday. UBN wants to know if, he said he saw Kevin Hart at Morrow Steak. He is smaller. Yeah, he's tiny. He's like 5'3". Robbie Otan wants to know if Kellen Moore is the guy, what names out there as coordinators? Well, we've already kind of talked last week, and I think it's starting. I'm hearing more and more that this is going to be the case. I think could be Doug Nussmeier as his offensive coordinator. Doug Nussmeier was with his family yesterday. Gabe says Romo had growing pains. I thought he was good from the beginning. I don't know. Maybe not. And then on defense, word is Brandon Staley could be the defensive coordinator. That would be interesting. By the way, I'm not going to show all of these. Owen thought halftime sucked. I'm just trying to Gabe's going to be the one that's riled up in this one. I'm just going to sit back and wind him up. Corey Terrios' halftime show was legendary. Had a lot of me. You know what I'm saying? And this is interesting because it's true. I know this. Most of the people I know, not all of them, and the people that was sitting around me, and it's not just a bunch of white dudes. Black dudes too. No one that was around me thought it was any good. I'm just going to say that. Okay. No one I talked to about it thought it was any good until I talked to Gabe this morning. But one thing I'm definitely saying is people, I think, either loved it or hated it. I don't think is there anyone that's saying it was all right? If you're one of those, tell me. I don't think anyone's just saying, it was all right. Randall says, good morning. Good morning, Randall. He's interested to see if Andy Reid retires. You think he will? I don't know. Some coaches, man, what else are they going to do? I don't think he's going to retire. He might. It wouldn't shock me if he retired. But if he does retire, the word is next up is Cliff Kingsbury. That would take them down a notch. And by the way, anybody else in the Super Bowl feel the same way that I do, that this wasn't just a loss for, again, I'm not taking anything away from the Chiefs. I know a lot of you are rejoicing in the Chiefs' defeat. I mean, I'm happy because I won a lot of money last night, and almost every single bet I had last night was tied into the Eagles winning. We'll get to that in a minute. But I'm not going to rejoice in them losing. I thought the Chiefs' run was phenomenal. I mean, it's not taking anything away. I hope they come back and they play great again next year. Here's the thing, though. Something was weird, and I'm going to ask Gabe this question so you can prepare yourself for this question when you come on in a little bit. But I have this, watching that game, it wasn't just a beatdown. It was almost like the end of an era. Gabe says no. Well, you didn't think they were going to lose either. I'm just saying, something was weird about that. And I don't necessarily think that the Eagles are that team that can be a dominating team for a long time. Maybe they can, maybe they can't. Maybe we'll be here 3 years from now and I'll say, and Gabe will come on and say, remember when I tell you said something stupid like the Chiefs, the end of an era, and here we are, they're playing in their 6th straight Super Bowl. I mean, that's possible. It felt weird. Tim Leach says, Eagles had the blueprint to build your team from 100%. They have a dominant offensive line, defensive line. Saints are supposed to rebuild the same way. 110%. They've been dominant every game. No. But they've had issues. They've had injuries along their offensive line, which is why some of the problems that they had in the middle of the season. But, a lot of the talk in the press box last night was about that, just that. It was about the fact that the way that the Eagles have built their team, not just this year, over the course of the past 5 years. And again, y'all know what I think about Nick Sirianni. Not a whole lot. But mediocre coaches, see that? I'm not using the A word. Mediocre coaches can find ways to win Super Bowls if they have the personnel. This is just complete horse hockey, Randall. Defense wins championships about once every 10 years now. What planet do you live on? Please tell me what planet. I want to visit there. It's probably fun because it's La La Land. Defense wins championships about every 10. There isn't I can't think of a single team that, at least in the recent past, that's won a Super Bowl without a decent or really good defense. I can't think of one. By the way, the Eagles had the number one defense in the NFL. Once every 10 years, my ass. Sav says, after watching that D line last night, made you wish you had one. There's no doubt about that, man. Will they get one? Will they get one? I don't know. Michelle wants me to opine on that's my word, opine, by the way. You stole it from me. On our OC candidates this morning. We'll probably talk more about that later on, but we will talk about it a little bit. I still think Doug Nussmeier is the leader in the clubhouse. Gabe says, I really don't think Moore is a lock, especially after winning the Super Bowl. It's a lock. It's done. If you listen to his press conferences last night, I don't have any here. Again, that's another thing that I wanted to put up here. If you listen to his post-game press conference, and you go find it on X, the newest WGNO sports reporter, and I can't remember his name at the moment, but go find on X, just do a search on Kellen Moore, and it'll come up at some point. And he talks to him and asks him some questions. If he wasn't coming here, he would have shot down some of these questions in a heartbeat. I would be floored if Kellen Moore is not the coach of the New Orleans Saints. And that includes whether he wants to or not. All right, one thing I will show from last night in Super Bowl, being there and being able to kind of watch, I did tons of videos. Okay, I took probably 20 videos. All right, so I picked the one I thought was the coolest one. No, it's not the halftime show, Gabe. I picked the one I thought was the coolest one, and it's the final moments of the game. And again, this is from where I sit. Okay, so it's way up there, but I did try to zoom in. Here's a shout out to the iPhone, by the way. The video that an iPhone takes is as good. I don't even know why people lug these big old cameras anymore. You don't even need to. I am literally at the top of the Superdome. The video quality of this is incredible. But anyway, the final moments, I got a minute and 1 second, and we'll come back and talk about it. We're going to wrap up our talk about the Super Bowl and get to the Saints in just a minute. But I thought this was cool. You saw those little lights in the background? Everyone got one of these things, which I mean, it has no use. I took it home anyway, and you see the greens washing out. But I don't know why I took it. I guess I took it home and gave it to my kids or whatever. But there's these 3 LED lights in there. and they light up whatever color they're programmed to light up, which is cool as hell. Now everything's washing out. There we go. Got to get that off the screen. But just so many different things about the Super Bowl. You never know. You saw these little. So you don't control those lights. You just, I guess, you put them on your arm. Every now and then, I would kind of raise it up, play with it. It was kind of cool. Maybe I'll show some pictures of that. I did take some pictures of that. Just so many different things. So many different things about the game. Little intricacies that I took the program home. We did get a program, so that's something. Just again, I don't even know where to start about just the atmosphere and the scene. And Zach and I, we didn't want to fight all the mess, so we got on the first shuttle, which was at 1:00 from the convention center. Got to the dome about, I don't know, probably got in the dome around 1:30, 1:45, somewhere around there. And you're thinking, like, what are you going to do from 1:45 to 5:30 before the game starts? It was the quickest, like, 4 hours of wait time in my life. You didn't even realize how fast it went by. Just sitting there and taking in the scenes. And if I sound like, again, I talked about it in the open, I'm like a kid who was an adult at Disney World. Okay? This was my Disney World. And I'll probably, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, the next time the Super Bowl comes to New Orleans, I'll probably be 68, 69 years old. I mean, and barring something crazy like it comes within 10 years or something, I'm probably going to be retired. And the chances of me going on the road to cover a Super Bowl, unless the Saints get there, probably not going to happen. I was thinking about it on the way home last night. I mean, there's a really good chance that was my one and only Super Bowl. So I kind of reveled in it last night. I didn't hang around too late after it was over. I did leave. I kind of hung around for maybe 15 minutes or something and just kind of watched, but I was tired, man. I was tired. Irene Sanders. Nola did a great job in the Super Bowl. Didn't love halftime. Should have celebrated Nola. I think maybe that's part of my problem more than anything. Not that other cities, they don't necessarily celebrate those cities. So that's, but Nola's different. I kind of agree with you, Irene. I get it. Still great production. Now let's get Kellen Moore in the building and get moving. We'll miss football for the next few months. To me, that's part of the Super Bowl that being at is a little different than watching at home. Watching at home, when you see the confetti, you're thinking, okay, it's over. The season's over. Didn't necessarily think that last night until maybe I got home and was laying down and was watching part of it. Then I started thinking about it. Who dat, Daddy? Good morning, family. Who dat? Janet Reed, shout out to the people who work around the Caesar Superdome. No doubt about that. They did a phenomenal job. And I tried to tell as many of them as I could. Thank you. Really. What else we got here? We got some new people here this morning. By the way, Gabe, if you see something new that I haven't shout out yet, please do. Brian Cavett, Brady is not good at all. No insight, mainly because he can't talk to the players due to being a part owner. I don't think it has anything to do with that part. I don't think it has anything to do with him being a part owner. Hakeem, what's going on this morning? How are you? Glad you're here with us. PBM, it's amazing how normal Mahomes looks when he actually faces a little pressure. I wouldn't call that a little pressure. I would call that a shit ton of pressure. Just saying. That was not your regular pressure. Michelle says, love John Baptista's national anthem. It was phenomenal. Again, I'm biased. I'm a New Orleanian. I get it. But they had other stuff before the game, some other singers and local singers before the game. I thought they were all phenomenal. I thought everything was phenomenal except the halftime show. Who dat, Daddy? Our conversation with Gabe last week said that Mahomes was going to have trouble with the offense and defensive line of the Eagles. Yeah, look, I think, and Gabe's, and I'm going to speak for Gabe. I'm going to bring him on in just a minute. I'm going to speak for him here because I feel the same way. It was tough for me to bet the Eagles last night. I will say this. I bet less money on the actual game, the actual spread or the line than I have in years. And the reason why was, even though my analysis took me to the Eagles and it made 100% sense to bet on the Eagles and that the Eagles, to me, were just that much better of a team. What didn't make sense is what Gabe and I have been saying for years on the show, or 2 years, or whatever it is that you just don't bet against God. You just assume that Patrick Mahomes is going to find a way. And I can understand that. Obviously, I understand that because I've been talking about it. So I thought I was going to be the goofy one that had egg on my face. But I couldn't go. I just thought it was that much different. Some other bets that I made last night. Again, if you watch the Pick'em show, I got 3 out of 4 picks right that I showed you on the screen. But I forgot. I didn't bet the one that I lost. I actually didn't bet it. I bet besides the spread plus 1.5. I got a bonus, which is why I bet the spread, not the money line. There was if you bet the spread, you get a bonus, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So that's why I bet the spread. I bet Jalen Hurts to be MVP at 3.25 to 1. That was a nice one. I bet Saquon's under rushing because I thought Jalen Hurts was going to be the star of the game. And if you're going to ask me why I thought that, and I told you this on the show. This is the reason why I thought Saquon would be a little bit less, have a little trouble running the ball, and I thought Hurts would seal the show. And surprisingly, Adam Chernoff on this show, I think last Tuesday, didn't like my pick because of Saquon. I just thought Spagnuolo was going to have a tough time. I thought he was going to want to focus on Barkley, which he did. And when the Eagles tried to run Barkley in the beginning, Barkley got stuffed, which opened things up to Jalen Hurts, which is why I thought Jalen Hurts at plus 325 to be the MVP was an incredible value. And it turned out to be that way. So I was putting all my eggs, not only in the Eagles basket, but I was putting my eggs in the Jalen Hurts basket because I also had Jalen Hurts over rushing 38.5, which was easy. And then I wanted to pick out 2 receivers that I thought he was going to like, but kind of fading Saquon. So I took Adam Chernoff's bet, which I showed here on the show, and the Jahan Dotson over just needed 1 catch. Well, he did that first catch of the game. Money, baby. Got to love that. And then the other player I picked was Devontae Smith. I picked Devontae Smith over 56.5 yards. And again, I was kind of fading the big players there. It's really goes with what Adam was talking about. I faded Saquon, I faded A.J. Brown, and that's how I ended up winning everything last night. And then I just got kind of lucky with a couple of them. I mean, look, let's be honest. When you have a really good night, you got to get lucky somewhat. I got lucky with I had a D-Hop touchdown. I bet on D-Hop to score anytime touchdown, and Gabe had it too. It was plus 425. At least that's what I got it at. I didn't think it was going to happen because he wasn't even playing half the time. And then they don't get it on first when they come down and score the first meaningless touchdown to get him to 14. First down, he wasn't on the play. It was first and goal. Second and goal from like the 4, he wasn't in on the play. And then he comes in. Was it third down or fourth down? I don't remember if it was third or fourth down when he scored, but third down. Okay. So he comes in on third down. I'm like, all right, they got to go to him. He was all by himself on the left side. I'm like, all right, he's going to get it. Just got lucky. Sometimes you got to get lucky. But again, it was a receiver, and I mean, Worthy scored too, but I was trying to fade the bigger players, and it ended up working for me last night. So it doesn't always work that way. Saints fan 0521 says, good morning. Got his Friday prediction pretty close. Eagles 23, Chiefs 23. Absolutely. You were pretty close. You had the Chiefs score. And I will say you're pretty close, but I don't think anyone thinks the scoreboard relates to how that game went. I mean, in real life, the score should have been more like 40-14, 40-6. Randall says he thinks Cliff Kingsbury would be a great hire for whom? Cliff Kingsbury is no different than Dennis Allen. He's going to be a retread who was a loser in his first chance, and I think is going to be a loser in his next chance. Unless, if he goes to Kansas City, he might not be a loser, but I don't think Cliff Kingsbury is going to win a Super Bowl. That's just my opinion. All right. Anyway, Rocky says Staley would be interesting as defensive coordinator. Yeah, we'll see. I'm not a fan of Brandon Staley. Well, look, and it's different because for those of you who watch the show and only watch like the last year or so, I feel about Brandon Staley, at least as a head coach, below what I feel about Dan Campbell. Brandon Staley is not even kind of as good as Dan Campbell. Now, will he be as good as a defensive coordinator? Maybe. We'll see. What else we got here? Let's see. Bart Prudhomme says he called for a blowout 2 weeks ago. Congratulations. I hope you won that money. Congrats to all former Saints players. That was pretty cool too, wasn't it? Wasn't it cool watching the former Saints? I thought that was some of the best stuff in there. All right. Mark says Jackson Dart to Saints in third round. I'm not sure where you get your draft analysis from, and I'm not trying to be mean, but Jackson Dart isn't making it to the third round. He's barely going to make it to the. I mean, I'm not saying the Saints should draft him, but he's barely going to make it to the 9th pick, if he does. At this point, he's shooting up the draft boards. I think he'll still be there at 9, but I think he's shooting up the draft boards. Hakeem Batiste says Gerard Mayo would be a good DC. Hey, I'm not against that at all. All right, let's talk to Gabe, because I do want to spend like 20 minutes on the Saints, and I do not want this to be this is not going to, I can promise you this is not going to be a 2-hour show today. I don't even want it to be an hour and a half. I want to be off in and out in about an hour and 10. So hour and 20 tops. Let's bring in Gabe. And Gabe, since you're going to get my goat in a little bit, I had to get everybody else's goat. Here are the final standings, and I'll pick them. Somebody won running away. I don't know who that was, but
we both had profitable nights last night.
We did have profitable night. I texted UBN last night, and I said, I wish I had the cojones to bet like you, because if I did, I'd be riding in Endymion free this year, because that's how, as it is, it did put a nice little chunk of change in the Mardi Gras coffers, but man, it was a good night last night for sure. Anyway,
it was a profitable night. Really good night.
And I'll just say this, for those who listen on the pod and wondering, the final standings, I won by a good margin. UBN finished second. Yes. Gabe, who won the regular season basically going away, did not have as good of a postseason. What's up, Gabe Henderson?
It's okay. Absolutely nothing. I had similar luck with you last night. I didn't play too much. I didn't play the total too much, for the spread too much. I played the total, not the spread. I had the over, easy cash at the end.
It didn't look good. It didn't look good for a
lot of
while.
my player props. I got, just like you, I got lucky with the D-Hop touchdown. He was my favorite touchdown play. Devontae Smith, I had at any time. And I probably my most profitable bet last night, I had Jalen Hurts' first touchdown.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you had to like when they overturned the Jahan Dotson.
I loved it. And I had Jahan Dotson over receiving yards. So, but in a similar vein, did you have any bad beats last night?
No, I didn't have any beats last night. Literally not a single beat. The only I had 2 bets that lost. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, I want to be, but neither one of them I would have put. They were both bets that I would just kind of did for a goof. Well, I bet $1 on Zach Bond to be MVP at plus 9,000 just for a goof. And then I bet $3.90 on Jalen Hurts to score three or more rushing touchdowns. Again, as a goof. I literally won every other bet that I made.
I had probably my favorite bet that I won last night. I had over 3.5 field goals.
Yeah.
But I did have my bad beat of the night was Juju over 16.5 receiving yards. He finished with 16.
Yeah, I know. Real quick, all right, we're going to talk about this, and I really don't want to spend a lot of time talking about this. Corey Atkins asks, I would have been okay with Lil Wayne and Master P there from New Orleans. Absolutely. That's
Master P is the definition of irrelevancy in 2020.
I wanted New Orleans, and I don't care what New Orleans. I get all of it. I understand where you're coming from. I don't want to get off my lawn, dude. I'm trying not to be. I just didn't get it, Gabe Henderson. I didn't get it at all.
Hold on, but with Lil Wayne, I love Lil Wayne. He's a fantastic rapper. One of my favorites growing up, and still to this day, one of my favorites. Lil Wayne's music is dipped in quality. He's not as good a live performer as he is in the studio, and not only that, his music is incredibly profane, and I don't know
Yeah,
how
it would be
they
tough
do
to
it in
clean it
Super
up.
Bowl.
Yeah, that's true. That would be
But
tough
let
to
me
clean
let me ask you this:
up.
what did
But
you
Kendrick
get last
Lamar
night?
cleaned his up for the most part.
Yes,
I
that's
mean,
because Kendrick Lamar is a way better lyricist.
oh boy, here we go. All right, go ahead.
What do you?
It's a way better
Okay,
lyricist.
what do you mean? What do you mean? Here we go. That's what I don't understand.
Oh, I'm
What is
biased. I'm
everyone's gripe
always going to
last
pick the
night?
New Orleans dude. So.
That's fine. But to act like Kendrick Lamar isn't a great lyricist is crazy. He's the greatest rapper ever. I mean, there's
Oh, come on, man.
what
Greatest
metrics do you have to
rapper
argue
ever.
against it? Let's
I don't
argue
know.
that real
I
quick.
mean, look.
What are you gonna say against
I'm
it?
going to say my favorite rappers are like the same age as me. So
Okay, like who? I mean, who do you think is better? Well, let me hear better. I'll pick.
I mean, I think LL Cool J is my favorite
Stop.
rapper. I mean, seriously, he
He's
is
a better actor than he is rapper.
Well, he's a great actor too, but
He's a good actor. I'll give him that.
phenomenal. I'm a
He
huge
doesn't have
fan.
nearly the body of work.
He's actually like no joke. Like I saw lots of people this weekend. If I would have run an LL Cool J,
Randall,
I would have 100% had to like go talk to him. Like there's like tons of like more famous people than LL Cool J that I didn't go talk to, that I walked past and like didn't even say hello, whatever. LL Cool J would have to stop and say hello
Yeah,
to.
no, that's cool.
So anyway.
He had a lot of hits.
But anyway.
Nelly.
I'm not
he's
saying
like Nelly. He's commercially successful, not great rappers.
All right.
Not great. But Randall's saying Eminem. Eminem hasn't had a good album in over a decade.
Not a huge Eminem
It's actually
fan.
been closer to 15 years. He's fantastic, but his body of work has so many duds in it. It's not even close. The thing about Kendrick Lamar, and the reason that I say that he's the best, he's the only rapper to win a Pulitzer Prize for his writing. So we'll put that out there. He's got two of the best rap albums of all time, and what I consider to be the best rap album of all time.
But I shared in a Pulitzer Prize, so that to me that brings the value of that award way down.
I mean, so for the people who are saying that halftime stunk, what's bad about it?
I'll tell you what I didn't like. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And I told you this before the show. One of the ironic things of me saying that I thought the halftime show sucked is I probably have, I don't know, 70, 80 pictures / videos on my phone from last night. I probably have more from the halftime show than maybe the other stuff combined. I don't know. Because I don't know. I think my kids wanted to see, I have a lot of stuff for my kids. They wanted to see the halftime show. They'd actually turn the game on when the halftime show came on. Okay. Here you go. Earl Russo.
Earl, stop it.
I mean, he
name
says
a classic album that LL
kings
Cool J has. Name a classic album. Kendrick is
outsold him. The body of work that Kendrick. Are you nuts, bro? That's what I'm screaming, Earl.
Kendrick has the best body of work among anybody in the history of rap.
Anyway,
he's got 2 classic albums. You can't touch that.
Can't touch that.
2 flawless albums. He won a Pulitzer.
Did you just say can't touch that?
Hey, shout out MC Hammer.
It could be Hammer time. Going back to the 90s. I don't know. Look, what you asked me what I didn't like about it, and it's like, I guess I focused before I even kind of focused on the music itself. I'm trying to understand what they were trying to accomplish. I was trying to get the show. Okay. I was trying to understand the show. And I think by the time I figured, okay, I'm not going to understand the show, let's just move on, I think it was like kind of dead to me by then.
Well, here's the thing, and this is the thing about halftime.
Yeah, you're right, Hakeem.
This is the thing about halftime performances at the Super Bowl and performances in general. I've seen a lot of performances at football games. It's pointless because there is only one time where I've seen a crowd truly into a performance, and that's the greatest Super Bowl halftime performance ever.
MJ?
No, Prince.
Oh, Prince was effing phenomenal.
And I think the weekend would have been fantastic as well, but there wasn't really a crowd there because that was COVID.
Jason, you're right, and don't think I ain't thinking about that. 2 white dudes arguing
rap
about
is the genre that I listen to the most. What does my skin color have to do with?
I probably actually, when I was your age, I probably listened to rap as much as anything too back then.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
I don't now, and I'm just saying, I can be the. I tell you right, I can't get the snow off my lawn. No, yeah, I mean, it could be. Joyce, you could be right. Kendrick Lamar is too deep for me. You could,
and that's the thing.
You could be right.
You said you didn't understand the halftime
Could be
performance,
right.
so I'll break it down a little bit. The halftime performance was a subtle bit of political commentary because everyone is always, keep politics out of sports, and so he did that in the best. He did that in the best way. Kendrick Lamar is a very political rapper.
I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do, Gabe. I'm gonna go back later today and I'm gonna watch the whole thing again. Okay. Maybe I didn't take it seriously enough, and we can talk about it. But you might be right. The crazy
part is he didn't do his more political songs. I mean, hell, his whole album to Pimp
because he probably couldn't figure out a way to say it without saying words that start with F, S, and
no. His rapping really isn't that profane. I'll tell you that. Okay. It's really not. So the thing is, it was a subtle political. I mean, every detail in there was very carefully calculated. From bringing Samuel L. Jackson on to play the voice of Uncle Sam, who
that was pretty cool. But again, Samuel L. Jackson's like I love Samuel L. Jackson. 100%. So,
but it was a play on the Uncle Sam whole thing. So there was that. But yeah, and then Earl saying this. I mean, yeah.
Why does he keep screwing with Drake so much? By the way, I don't understand.
Because this is real. This is real young versus old generation. So Drake released an album in early 2023, and in there they had a song where he said he is as big as the Super Bowl. And he brought on another rapper to feature on that named J. Cole, and they called themselves a part of the Big Three. The Big Three of rap. Kendrick Lamar, everyone who understands the genre nowadays knows that Kendrick Lamar is the greatest rapper alive. He's arguably he's what I consider to be, he's not my favorite rapper ever, what I consider to be the best rapper overall. So he appeared on another album with two people who don't like Drake, and he basically said, screw what you're saying. You can say whatever you want about a Big Three, but I'm the best. And then it basically spiraled.
We're just talking smack.
Exactly. But then Drake started saying things about his wife in a song, and it got really personal.
You can't do that.
The song Last Night was Kendrick Lamar's response to Drake.
Is this true? Earl says Serena Williams is Drake's ex.
Yes, and he brought her out.
And she was out there. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And Drake had also been accused of stalking her at one point. And then, little known fact, SZA is also Drake's ex.
Well, again, my daughter thinks she's great. That's why she's wanted
fantastic.
To watch. Guys, look, let me tell you something. Y'all, sports, please. We're talking about the halftime show. Look, I'm sorry I don't like it, but this is you see that little thing at the top that says Dattitude with Jim Derry? We think, okay, if you don't care, I'm sorry. You can come back in about 5 minutes.
Here's the thing, Brian. I monitor the comments. I saw you comment on the the halftime show earlier.
So, I get it. You don't get it. I get you don't like it. Anyway,
if you don't care, tune out. I don't care.
Final thoughts on the game itself. I mean, I don't think anybody would be all that shocked that Philly won, but the way they dominated and from the get-go, and the defensive line to me dominating, it wasn't that Mahomes, whatever. The fact that the defensive line of the Eagles dominated one of the top 5 offensive lines in football, in my opinion. They had 2 all-pros in that offensive line. And they were coming in. They weren't even coming in from the edges. They were like I thought the scheme was fantastic. They kind of crammed the edges and then slipped somebody up in the middle. And I thought the way that they... Did
you see the stats on the pressure last night?
I don't know how many pressures they had, but would they have 6 sacks?
Mahomes dropped back to pass 42 times. He was pressured on 50% of those dropbacks.
Yep.
Do you know how many blitzes the Eagles ran?
Hardly any. I mean, like 1 or 2, right?
No. Not hardly
any.
None.
Yeah, I know. It wasn't many. I knew it wasn't. I didn't know it was
4 down linemen the entire time, and they manhandled.
UBN got it.
Yeah.
By the way, UBN is right. I mean, halftime show is part of the sports entertainment. It's part of the Super Bowl. It always has been. So it's definitely going to be part of the conversation.
You know, and
okay, here's one for
UBN.
you. This also is true. Rock, I thought Gaga. Yeah, I'm not a big Lady Gaga fan, but I thought her pregame performance was outstanding, and I thought that whole segment that Fox did on the whole Bourbon Street thing, it moved me. I mean, I got to be honest. I had a tear come to my eye. It definitely moved me. So I thought it was phenomenal.
Can we just a little quick note?
Yeah, one last thought because I do want to get to the
John Baptiste's national anthem.
Yeah.
He repeated the same line 4 times. He was well under.
We joked about it was only under by half a second.
No. I know because he repeated the same line 4 times.
You think he was trying to get it to go over?
I don't. Truth be told, I don't think the performers care.
Zach was like, if I would have known he was going to say the same line 4 times, I would have definitely bet the over.
I couldn't bet on the anthem, but I did recommend under in my. It
was half a second under. And by the way, I want to make this clear to everyone because a good friend of mine asked me this question. Mm-hmm. I bet on the MVP. I did not and would not vote on who should be MVP. That would be an absolute conflict of interest. I had a couple people ask me that last night. I thought it was wanted to make it clear, and I thought it was a good time with
I thought Hurts was much like you. I thought Hurts was the best value on the board.
It was.
MVP.
I mean, plus 325.
I think I said it
exactly.
Yeah, well, he was as high as plus 375 by kickoff.
Oh, I should have done a little more shopping, I guess.
Yeah. So I mean, it was always. I mean,
well, I waited till
won 11 of the last 15.
In the 4 hours I was sitting there, I actually did a decent amount of research and thinking about it. It took me an hour to do my bets because I wanted, I actually went through them and I already kind of had in my mind what I wanted to do. And then when I saw that, I'm like, why didn't I see this earlier? I didn't notice it earlier. I probably could have got better odds before, but I thought that was the best number on the board for sure.
So yeah, I mean, just to wrap it up, I mean, it was really impressive.
Wrap it up. I got you.
Well. Yeah, the halftime show is fantastic. I understand if a lot of people didn't get it. Look, I have no problem with people saying they don't enjoy rap music, but to say that it wasn't a good halftime show is crazy. And to cite the crowd reaction, the crowds are dead in almost.
I didn't notice that the crowd reaction was. I didn't notice that.
UBN was saying that no one cared, but no one cares.
Oh well, he was. Yeah, he was in the crowd.
They go to see a football game. I mean, I've personally been to. I mean, I saw 3 Doors Down at LSU versus Florida, I think it was a few years ago. I've seen multiple. I
saw U2 at the Saints game.
Yeah, I mean it's and crowds have never cared.
Yeah. I don't know. They cared for U2 at the Saints game in Green Day.
And to address Charles, Tupac is not the greatest rapper. His catalog is too bloated. He's got too many misses. I think Biggie was personally better than him.
Oh, come on, man.
But he was. Biggie could rap a Chinese takeout menu.
We're not going to do this today.
His flow was fantastic.
You and I can.
But I will say this. For anyone who wants to understand a message about Kendrick Lamar's music, if anyone really wants to go back and get into it, listen to the song "Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst."
I'm writing this down. I'm actually going to go listen.
Seriously, it's a song off one of his albums, Good Kid, Mad City. It's a 12-minute rap song, what I consider to be one of the best rap songs ever written. And if you don't understand it, Genius has got all the lyrics.
All right.
You can look up the meanings. It is perfection from start to finish.
I will do it. I'll look it up. We'll talk about it. Maybe not on the show. Maybe on the show. Who knows? We'll talk about whatever we want.
I'm happy to educate anyone on the genre.
We'll see how that goes. I'll have to start a new show for that. Gabe Anderson. We'll talk to you on Wednesday.
Sounds good.
All right. Look, I'm going to tell you. Look, I'm not trying to be a dick. I mean, seriously. But the halftime show is 100% part of the Super Bowl. I get that you might not like talking about it. I understand that. If that's not your thing and rap isn't your thing, whatever. But whoever does the Super Bowl halftime show next year, probably going to spend 10, 15 minutes talking about it. It's a topic of conversation. I don't care. Yeah, it's a sports show. But if you go watch ESPN or whatever show, I promise you, on any sports show today, not any sports show, I'd say 80% of them, at some point, the halftime show is going to come up. They're going to talk about it, whether they liked it or don't like it. Just saying. All right. enough of the Super Bowl. We're going to finish. We got about 20 minutes left in the show. Now it's time. From here on out, the only thing we're going to talk about is Saints the last 20 minutes or so. If you got questions about the Saints, you got comments about the Saints, now's the time to send them in. Again, about 20 minutes left in the show. That's all we're going to talk about. And talk about Kellen Moore, what could possibly happen. And I do actually have a clip that I want to run from last night talking about Kellen Moore. We told you earlier we would let you know more about how Evangeline Securities can get all the people off Poydras Street, get those barricades. Oh, wait, no, that's not what we wanted to talk about. We wanted to talk about how Evangeline Securities can help you figure out what your family-run or privately held business might be worth and whether it's time to sell. How do they do it? Well, after they clear the streets of the barricades. I think it's pretty much done. After their complimentary valuation of your company, if you decide to proceed, native New Orleanians Nick Braden, Ron Hemelt, and the folks at Evangeline will begin an extensive auction process among established private equity funds from around the world. And they will maximize the return for the founder and his or her family. Evangeline Securities is the top producer on their platform. There are very few companies like them in this area. I mean, very few, and none with their dedication and success. They are fully licensed and ready to serve you. So get in touch with Nick and Ron about what's really important. It's not Kendrick Lamar. It's not LL Cool J. It ain't even Lil Wayne. None of them. It ain't Eminem either. What's really important? The rest of your life. You can find them at www.evangelinesecurities.com. All right. Talking about Kellen Moore. There's a lot of buzz, and my own company is been involved in trying to blow up this whole what Nick Sirianni said about, Nick Sirianni is trying to hold on to Kellen Moore and blah, blah. My ass. He knows he's gone. Why are all these media outlets making a big deal about all this? Okay. And in case you don't know what he said last night, or you didn't hear it after the game, Terry Bradshaw asked Nick Sirianni about his coordinators and Vic Fangio and blah, blah, blah. And he talks about, quote unquote, running it back with Kellen Moore. This is no big deal. This is almost a lot. He knows he's gone. For those of you on the fence and who are worried about whether Kellen Moore is going to actually be the next coach of the New Orleans Saints, just listen to this. This pretty much tells you that Nick Sirianni knows he's gone. 13-second clip.
Vic's been a great coordinator for this team for decades, and he was awesome today. Kellen, let's run this shit back, Kellen. Let's run this back.
Wants to run it back. But who would take that seriously? I mean, like, I'm telling you, and don't get me wrong, I don't think my employers can get mad at me for saying this, but we like to put things, and not just we, I don't know how many alerts that y'all subscribe to. I don't subscribe to many. I got to be honest. And I'm not going to tell you who they all are because I don't want to. There's only one local television station that I subscribe to their alerts. I don't want to shun anyone. I don't want anyone not to come on the show anymore. And then there's NOAA.com, and there's one national outlet. Those are the alerts that I get, okay? But two of the three were sending me alerts, and then when I went on other web pages this morning, trying to make a big deal out of Nick Sirianni's comments from last night. He knows he's gone. El Russo, we're getting Kellen going to stay with the Eagles. He's coming. He went back home with his team to celebrate the last time he'll ever wear Eagles green, at least in the near future. And apparently I shouldn't wear green on the show. Again, if you're listening to the pod, you can't see this, but I've worn this shirt on the show before, and I don't know why it's, I don't know, green screen. I thought forest green was okay. What do I know? John Carter, Saints Time. Who dat from D.C.? Well, welcome from D.C. Weather's probably better in D.C. than it is here. It's been nasty. Larry Gibson wants to know, Kendrick has the best two albums ever. When did I start listening to rap? 10 years ago? No, I started listening to rap like 40 years ago, but more than that, probably 45 years ago. The problem is I haven't listened to a lot of rap lately. So I'm going to give Gabe the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to go listen to a couple songs he asked me to listen to. I'm going to go and rewatch the halftime show. And maybe I'll have a different opinion. We'll see. Maybe I'm just not cultured enough. I mean, I'm old and I'm white. It is what it is. Apathy. I can't believe no one brought up Fox putting carpet on Bourbon Street yet. I didn't notice they put carpet on Bourbon Street. What I did notice is they put carpet on the ramps walking up to the dome. It was the strangest thing. Now, it wasn't in everywhere, but there was carpet. And I showed y'all a picture last week of us having on media night. And it was last night too. The media workroom was actually in garage number 6. They had carpet in there. It was the strangest, weirdest thing. I'm just saying. Super strange. Let's see what else we got here. Earl says he's more nervous because Ben Johnson did it last year, but they didn't win, so more understandable. I don't think it has anything to do with winning or losing. Everything I'm reading and hearing and seeing, this deal was done when Gale's plane flew to Philly to talk to Kellen Moore. And I mean, I'm hearing more and more about this stuff now. McCarthy backed out because, I mean, what it sounds like, they basically told McCarthy before he backed out, this is what we're willing to give you if you want to come here. He's like, I want X amount of years, and they didn't even really call him back. They just went to Philly and talked to Kellen Moore, and he said, oh, I guess they're not serious. He took himself out. Oh, yeah, Gabe, good point. I'm definitely bringing that up. There are all sorts of things being thrown out there that I've seen. You know me. I like to blast social media. All the dumb things I'm reading about Kellen Moore. People are dumb, man. Just in general. One that really kind of ticked me off, and Gabe reminded me about it. I probably would have forgot. I'm glad he reminded me. But there was one, I'm not going to say, I don't know. I don't want to say he's not prominent because he's got more followers than I have on X. Not that I care about how many followers. I mean, I have a decent amount of followers, but this one particular guy who I have talked to a couple of times, but he comments, and I don't want to call I'm not calling anybody out. But he says, and I'm semi-quoting here, he says, if Kellen Moore takes the job, there's no way, and I'm not trying to stir controversy really, because I do want to beat this show to be over in 10 minutes. There's no way that Kellen Moore could run it forward long-term with Derek Carr. And while I think it's unlikely that, and again, I've said this before, I don't think Derek Carr is the long-term answer. I really don't. But that being said, and I brought this question up and nobody has a real answer. What happens if, and this is a legitimate possibility. I don't think it's likely the Saints win the division next year, but I think it's a legitimate possibility. We're not going to sit here and say, Gabe and I were like 0.0, on October 1st? If Kellen Moore comes in here, if this team has a good draft, I mean, it's clear that Kellen Moore wants to fill in the trenches. Okay. They're going to go O-line. Going to go O-line and D-line in the first 2 rounds. That's my guess. I'll be surprised if it doesn't happen. Okay. We can talk about Ashton Genty and all, and I would be open to the possibility of Ashton Genty in the first round. Maybe. Let's get closer to the draft. We'll talk about it. But my opinion is Kellen Moore is going to build up in the trenches. So that being said, what happens if, okay, this team is really, if they could stay healthy, they could find themselves either a left guard or a left tackle and move Falonga over to right tackle, because I do not think Penning is the answer. I'd love to see them give Penning a shot to play guard, really, because I think he has the tools. I think he could play guard. Maybe he'd be good at it. He was better at right tackle than I thought he would be. If the Saints can fill in a little bit on the offensive line and get a little bit better along the defensive front, this team can compete. Can they win the Super Bowl? Absolutely not. I'd be shocked if they win the Super Bowl. Be shocked if they went to the playoffs and won a game in the playoffs, really. However, and this is a stepping stone. It would not be a bad stepping stone. I don't want to hear all this crap. They need to lose and get Archer. Get out of here. 2026 is going to be a deep quarterback class. If the Saints decide they want to draft a quarterback in 2026, they can. They'll still be able to. They don't need to draft 1. They don't even need to draft 5. Go and try to win football games. But what's to say if the Saints have a decent year next year? Again, what's a decent year? I don't know. You go 9-8 with 8-9, 9-8. Say you go 9-8 and you win a division. That's a decent year. Do what Tampa Bay's done the last few years. That'd be a decent year. There's no reason to think you can't do that. You're not capable of doing that. You got the 4th place schedule, which is going to be, and I know we've had this the last 2 years, but I'm just saying there's going to be a culture change in this locker room. I'm not completely sold on Kellen Moore that he's going to be this great head coach because I don't know if he's going to be or not. I really don't. But I'm not convinced he's not either. And I'm not convinced that this team can't be good this year. And if the Saints are decent 9-8, you may not want to hear this, a lot of you, but if Derek Carr has a 3,800, 4,000 yard season and the offensive line holds up, would he want to run it back longer with Carr? I mean, there's a legitimate possibility that Derek Carr, if they extend his not extend his contract, but rework his contract, that we talked about this last week, and I talked about it, I think, on Eric Asher's show or whatever show I was on. I'm on so many damn shows the last week and a half. That it's possible that Derek Carr gets restructured to where he's now likely to be here in 26. That's a real possibility. Walt Crawford. Saints should trade Derek Carr, sign Cooper Rush to compete with Rattler, and draft Nussmeier next year. Walt, I'm going to be nice to you because you're a member of the family. Absolutely not. First of all, Derek Carr is untradeable, okay? I've seen this whole, you're not going to eat the cap money and then trade him and still eat the cap money. That would be this team has done a lot of dumb things lately, but that would be like the dumbest thing you could do. Because to trade Derek Carr, you would have to eat most of the cap money. Moore will get rid of Carr. No, he won't. Not in any time soon. Carr's not going. Look, I'm going to break this to you gently. This is a show about reality. Okay. This isn't Fanboy Podcast. This isn't what we want to happen. This isn't what we think. We talk about what is likely to happen. What is reality? Reality is you can hate them. You can want them to go take a long walk on a short pier. It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what I think. I'm telling you what reality is. Reality is Derek Carr is going to be the quarterback of this team in 2025. It is about 90%. And Zach thinks it's less than 90%. We've put percentages on this before. I know you don't want to hear this, but it's about, my opinion is it's about a 90% chance because of this cap situation that Derek Carr is the quarterback this coming year. And I think it's a decent chance. You don't want to hear, I think it's 50%. That if they rework his contract and quite a stretch out so they don't want to eat all this cap money, I think there's a decent chance that he's the quarterback in 2026 too. Nola Man wants to know why, while the current and former Saints showing love to the city and doing interviews, but Carr was nowhere to be found. Screw that guy. I don't like that he wasn't here. I said this last week. But Alvin Kamara wasn't here either. Are you saying screw Alvin Kamara? No, you aren't. The only time I saw Alvin Kamara at all last week, and I mean at all, was on a float in the Super Bowl parade. And he didn't, somebody from Channel 6 asked him a question and he didn't even answer it. So if you're saying screw Derek Carr, you need to say screw Alvin Kamara too. Just saying. Just saying. So good point, Nola Man. Blah, 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 blah. Earl Russo, 100% right. Carr is not our biggest problem in the slightest. 100% correct. What is the Saints Nola, man, at least he was on a float. Get out of here, man. I appreciate the fact that you're a new member to the family and you've been here almost every show the past month or so. I appreciate you immensely. But I'm going to talk to you like if you were sitting on my couch and we were boys and we were watching TV and we were drinking a beer and we're like, whatever. You don't have to like them. I'm just telling you what's going to happen. And you can't say when it's the same as all the Mickey Loomis crap. I'm okay with saying Mickey Loomis has screwed this team up. I'm not going to say you're wrong. But you also got to give them credit when they won, too. It's the same thing. As great as Drew Brees was. Drew Brees had 4 7-9 seasons. Oh, we don't want to talk about those. How many 7-9 seasons did Tom Brady have? I always hear the old argument of GOAT. We'll get it. Maybe we'll have a GOAT show in the offseason. How many 7-9 seasons Patrick Mahomes had? That would be 0. The reason why you hate Derek Carr is pretty simple. I've said this over and over again. It's not, don't get me wrong. Let's keep it positive, brother. That gets that pisses me off too. That really pisses me off. The way he talks sometimes, I get it. But the main reason, number one reason why you hate Derek Carr is simple. It's the same reason why you hated Jameis Winston when he was here, and now you love Jameis. Now I can talk about Jameis Winston, and the numbers of our show don't plummet every time I bring up the name Jameis Winston. It used to be whenever I would talk about Jameis Winston, the show would immediately, the numbers would plummet. Now everybody loves him because he's funny and he's not playing for the Saints. It's the same reason why you hated Jameis Winston. You hate Derek Carr because he's not Drew Brees. That's why you hate Derek Carr. Nobody's Drew Brees. It's not that easy. You don't just get a Drew Brees. Do I think Alvin is mad or do I think he wants out? I don't think he's mad. I think he's just tired of talking about it. I don't think Alvin's a low-key dude. He just doesn't want to he knows what the questions are going to be. And Alvin was very vocal about keeping Rizzy. Kamara wanted Rizzy. And they didn't keep Rizzy. They were never going to keep Rizzy. Didn't matter what I said this before. Doesn't matter what the players want. The players will be fine when Kellen Moore comes in here if things go the right way. If your team sucks, have I ever been in the NFL? No. But I can pretty much tell you it's the same way with every locker room. If your team sucks, you're not happy. Go look at the Giants. Malik Neighbors is a rookie. He was stirring all this crap because the Giants were losing. Well, it is what it is. No matter who you are, if your team's not winning, you're going to lose respect for your coach at some point, right? I just look, when I see these things on social media, it just bothers me. It really does. Again, I don't think that Derek Carr should be the long-term answer of this franchise. I think there's a super small percentage chance that he is. However, you have to look. I think y'all would all feel differently, though. What if this team takes a big step forward? It's not just going 9-8, because the Saints have been 9-8 twice in the last 4 years. What if the Saints go 9-8 and they look that much improved? You could say, I can see where they're going with Kellen Moore. I can see where this team is going. And let's say Derek Carr is a good season. Are you gonna still say, I hate Derek Carr? What if he throws for 3,800 yards or 4,000 yards and this offensive line is not in the bottom 8 or 10, and he's able to stay upright for 17 games, and he has a good season? You can still say you hate him? Because I'm going to remember that you said you hated him. Charles, you couldn't be more wrong, sir. He will not work out his contract. He's more greedy than Brees. I'm going to say this, and I don't care if y'all don't like it. There might not have been a more greedy player when it came to contract in the history of this franchise than Drew Brees. You don't remember Drew Brees at one point in time, I don't remember I'd have to go back and look at what season, was making 1/4 of the Saints salary cap. And I went on, and my friends gave me grief till the cows came home. Oh, it's worth it. Maybe he is, maybe he wasn't. But the point is, he wasn't going to play unless he got that quarter of the Saints salary cap. So if you don't think Drew Brees wasn't greedy, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Just saying. Rocky, you still think he's a post-June 1 release? I think the only way he's a June 1 release is if they tell him ahead of time and it's going to be that way. They're not going to just do it to him and throw him out on the street. So we'll all know about it. Kyle Sherman, late arrival. What a great week for Nola. Absolutely. PBM says, careful. Some think Breeze walked on water. I'm not going to treat Drew Brees any different than I treat anyone else. Was Drew Brees the greatest player in the history of this franchise? Zero question. Do the Saints win a Super Bowl without Drew Brees? Zero question, they do not. Is Derek Carr in the neighborhood of Drew Brees? Absolutely not. But you look at his contract, who do you want at quarterback? I mean, legitimately, we've been through this. I'm not going through this again. Spencer Rattler we dapped, we talked. Spencer Rattler is a cool dude. Future quarterback of the New Orleans Saints? Absolutely not. It's just not. So that being said, you look at the contract that Derek Carr has and that they're working with, it's in the bottom half. Okay, it's like 18th, I believe, 17th or 18th. And by the time the season starts, maybe lower than that in numbers. How much he makes per year is less per year than the average quarterback makes in the NFL today. But yet continually, every year except last year when he got hurt and another season with the Raiders. So we're talking about, 10 out of 12 years? One of them he only played half this past year. He's been in the top 12 in the league in passing yards every year, except for 2. So you're talking about a guy who's consistently in the top 12 in the NFL, but is making the 17th or 18th most money in the NFL. It's not a bad contract. It's a good contract. Again, you can hate him, whatever. KC, is there any news on Kellen Moore you just turned in? The news is basically that he went back to Philadelphia with his team, with his current team, and that we're trying to figure out what day he will be back, because I think there's a 95% chance that before this week is up, Kellen Moore will officially, not just announced, reported, officially be the coach of the New Orleans Saints. So that's where we are right now. We'll talk more about potentially, I don't know who my guest is Wednesday, but we'll talk more about potential coordinators. I know some of y'all asked about that. My opinion and what I'm hearing through the grapevine, it's looking like it'll be, look, that's all settled. I promise you right now. He knows who the coordinators are. The coordinators know who they're going to be. Everything's done. They just need to dot I's, cross T's. He wanted to go back with Philly, enjoy it. The Saints also want to make sure that they don't get in any trouble and that they don't want to have to give the Eagles any compensation. That's also part of it. That's why it's not today. That's why it probably won't be tomorrow. Somewhere Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, it will be announced. Edwin says, I wonder if Winston would consider coming back here as a primary backup to Carr. Got to be better than what we have now. The problem is you can't afford him. I mean, you consider it if you're welcome, KC. I think you'd consider it, but he cost $8 million, which is why they didn't keep him in the first place. So I think that's very unlikely. Very unlikely. A-Town wants the picture of me and the rat to be my new background screen. That would be pretty funny. For those of you who didn't see the picture of me and the rat, I'll show it again later in the week. Kyle Sherman, improve the trenches and see what Carr can do with MVS, Olave, Shaheed, and a draft pick. I agree. Although MVS is getting old. They do need a tight end too. We'll see how that goes. All right, that's going to pretty much wrap it up for today. I am dragging some serious butt today. It has been one hell of a week, man. I'll probably talk a little bit more about this on Wednesday. Maybe I'll show some pictures from the halftime show. I don't know, Gabe. What do you think? I mean, I think we done pissed. Brian Cabot left. He went and took a shower. Somebody else left too. I'm not trying to piss you off, but again, there's a reason why. You see up there, Dattitude with Jim Derry. I mean, you're not going to like everything else. I don't care. You watch this show for a long period of time, even if, you become a regular member of this family, there are going to be absolutely unquestionably moments where you don't agree with me and you're yelling at your phone or your TV or wherever, however you watch, iPad, whatever way you're watching. Listening in the car. It's going to happen. My wife does it all the time. All right. If you haven't already done so, if you're watching on Facebook, I know there's only a few of you that are watching on Facebook right now, but we would appreciate if you go over to Dattitude YouTube page and find us on YouTube and subscribe to the YouTube page. Okay. That's how we're trying to show our potential sponsors. That's where the cool people are. Working on getting some new sponsors for this show to go along with our friends at Evangeline. I mean, there's only one title sponsor. That's Evangeline Securities. You can find them at www.evangelinesecurities.com. And I'm so grateful for Nick and Ron. But in the off season, and I promised I was going to do this because I haven't had enough time to do it during the season. It's been a whirlwind. But now that it's the off season again, if any of y'all know someone that might be interested in sponsoring the Dattitude podcast, you can have your own segment. Okay. What I mean by that, well, you can sponsor the Saints segment. You can sponsor I'll start doing extra points again if you want to sponsor extra points. You want a commercial on the show? It can be done. jderrytheadvocate.com is how you get in touch with me. But if you're watching on Facebook, we'd appreciate it if you went and subscribe to our YouTube page. That will wrap it up for us on this Mono E Monday. Mark says, I deserve a Holy Roller IPA beer. Your personal favorite, who dat? I will take it. I thought about having a beer when I got home last night, but I was too damn tired, and I literally laid in bed and let the Super Bowl put me to sleep. Put it on the TV, and little did you know I was sleeping very shortly after. I want to thank our guest, Gabe, and of course, you. You were our guest. It's Mono E Monday. I don't even think I said Mono E Monday. Cheers, Kyle Sherman. First Monday in about, 20 weeks. I probably didn't say Mono E Monday till the end of the show. Again, a reminder to subscribe to the YouTube page. Click the little bell to receive notifications when we go in the air live, which is every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 11 a.m. Central Time. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts, including Apple, Spotify, and many more. You can find the replay of the show on NOLA.com/sports. And, of course, YouTube. A-Town says our new sponsor is UBN Used Auto Parts. Now, don't be messing with UBN because he actually has a business. We've talked about Regis Radiator Service on this pod before. Best place to take a leak. Look it up. Google it. Regis Radiator Service. You want to take a look? Bet.NOLA.com is where you find most of my work and all of our Saints insiders on NOLA.com/Saints. We'll be back on Wednesday. Now, a little heads up alert. If for some reason the Saints are going to make an announcement on Wednesday and it is going to bump up against our time, the time is subject to change. So if the Saints are going to make an announcement, then we will probably change the time of the show. And there may or may not be a show on Friday because we are going to take our break soon. But until then, we don't know who our guest is. We will see you on Wednesday. Everyone, have a great first half of your week. Rewind. Refresh. Football season's over. Take it easy, my friends.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.